What's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm here at a special location deep within Pontiac, Michigan to bring you something that you have been yearning for, and it involves some of that muscle car power. This vehicle right here, it's that 2026 all new Dodge Charger Scat Pack 6-pack. But before we get into this red-eye red return of some internal combustion engine to the Charger, let's talk about what's going on here. So you remember the story of the Charger. It goes all the way back to 1966. And over the years, the Charger has changed in size. It's also changed in power and what was generating that power. During the 1980s, there was a Charger that wasn't a V8. So this story is not something totally new. And building upon what the BEV Charger was bringing to the table, Dodge has now decided to open up the floodgate, as they promised, to continue the story of bringing that real deal muscle car power. So what I want to find out though is, with this Charger 6-pack, Scat Pack 6-pack, has Dodge hit the nail on the head? And is this gonna be one of those muscle cars that you want to own? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this one and see if we can find out. Right off the bat, the great news is you're getting that same sexy shape that we saw debut with the redesign of the Charger, but there are some distinct differences, so to kind of make that cooling effect because of that internal combustion engine. Now, at the front of the business, I hope you like extra width. You are getting one of the widest bodies in the industry. This is actually 2 inches wider than the wide body from the previous generation. Starting up front, love how they did the LED headlighting, LED daytime running lamp, that racetrack setup, that drag strip setup for the LED lighting, and then that red eye color, nice, deep, very rich with flavor. And then you'll notice in the lower corner how they have that lower splitter extension in the gloss black. But I'm happy to see that they brought all of the same lighting from the Charger Daytona into this Charger Scat Pack 6-pack. Now, as we come across the front nose, you see that extra width, just really menacing with the style. We have, of course, the frat zog. You go back to 1966, love the way they brought that into the 6-pack. Forward-facing camera. And then, of course, we have that functionality. So you're gonna have venting up front, that's fully functional, that upper grille, our mail slot grille, that is a traditional piece of styling, especially from the previous generation. And then on the lower portion, love the way it's nice, wide, and open, and of course, fully functional as well. But it's crazy how the design has sort of transitioned from the Charger Daytona into this 6-pack, but yet it still has the family resemblance. And I think that's the key here to remember, is that they're not saying that there's one Charger for everybody at Dodge. They're actually saying that, hey, we're gonna make Chargers for every type of person and what type of performance they want. Now, as we rise up, you got your bulge, so you can put away your socks. You don't need that. You got your muscle car bulge. And I love the way you have this functional heat extractor with the 6-pack name. Very, very cool. And remember, 6-pack, it's all about the names. Dodge does such a bang-up job on the names of their colors, the names of their models, and also bringing back that history. If you know your Dodge history, you know the 6-pack, 3 deuces, especially that 426 6-pack, 3 deuces, which were those 3 2-barrel carburetors. No carburetors on this model, but there is something that is meaningful that goes with that number 6 underneath the hood. Now, this particular one, I love that flat black accent on that bulge behind the heat extractor. And then you'll also notice up top how you have the different color roof as well. Now, as we come around the bend, which I gotta swing out wide because like I said, that extra wide body, swing around wide, what do we got? Wheel and tire setup. So you're gonna have these almost like a gunmetal flat gray V-spoke design wheel. Look at those massive calipers as big as Ronald McDonald's freaking head, bright red, 6-piston Brembos with the SRT badging on them. Remember, street and racing technology. the group is back. The band is back, and they're bringing the performance to this six pack. Now, if you're wondering about tires, tires are 305 on the width. So if you think about wide bodies from the past, 305 on the width, and then 35 series sidewall, and of course that's a 20-inch wheel. Now, the biggest surprise, besides what's underneath the hood, is what is underneath this sexy sheet metal. All-wheel drive. But what's great about it is that it's all-wheel drive when you want it, or if you want to do that smoky burnout, you could have the front end disconnected and send just the power to the rear to give you that rear-wheel drive excitement and performance as well. But like I said, the six-pack has all-wheel drive standard on this vehicle. But let me know what you think about the wheels. Like I said, you got the frat zog, those massive bright red calipers. It's nice to see a lot of the good things that people really wanted in the Charger Daytona also trickling into now the six-pack. Coming down the side, you gotta have your Rumblebee, and we have that new interpretation of the badging. Like I said, color names, car names, and the badging is so iconic and so historic with Dodge. Overall dimensions, it's got that muscle car presence to it. It's not too small, it's not too big, and the best part is two-door or four-door. So just like I said in other reviews, if you're one of those crybabies that was upset about the Charger being a four-door, Dodge is making everybody happy. Two-door Charger, like the original 1966, or you could also get a four-door Charger. The great news is, I'm a little bit of the cat out of the bag, $2,000 more to have a four-door, but we're not ready to talk about pricing yet. We'll talk about pricing in a second. Coming down the side, like I said, that two-tone, and what I like about it is that it's all black just on the roof, not the A-pillar into the rear. I think that gives it a nice balance between the colors, especially when you look at the palette of colors from red eye red to Ludicrous. There's even a new color called Green Machine. So lots of cool things happening. Door handles, just like we saw on the Charger Daytona. Love the way you just kind of reach on in, you hit the button, and she pops open. That great two-door design, nice large quarter glass. And then of course, when we talk about the rear wheels and tires, like I said, you can make this rear-wheel drive 305 squared, all four corners, 20-inch wheel. And look at the calipers back here, just as big as up front. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, as we come around the back, here's the big talking point, because if we have an engine underneath the hood, that means we gotta have some exhaust. But wait, we're gonna get there. Love the way they're doing the gloss black on the trunklet spoiler. Just like the splitter up front, you got that racetrack drag strip lighting, all LED with the frat zog badge that illuminates at night. And then dropping it like it's hot, you have your dual outlet exhaust. Nice, large, oval opening slash cut. You could have the tips be black or polished silver. And then I like the way they just stamped, they embossed the Charger name along the bottom here. But man, the extra width, the extra style, absolutely phenomenal. And you get a standard mechanical limited slip diff and the high performance active valve exhaust. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and check out what's new underneath it. All right guys, we got the hood popped. You could see, before we go underneath the hood, I wanna show you the LED light illumination, that drag strip racetrack style with the frat zog badge there in the center. So much history wrapped into this car. Now, before we just jump in, I wanna remind you of something. There's other brands out there throughout history that have been able to produce a powerful performance car with something similar on what's underneath the hood. So this is, what's nice is performance people should be kind of used to this. So what do we got? Underneath the hood is that six-pack. First of all, I love the engine cover. Not too big, not too small. You got the six-pack badging on both sides. And then check out that beefy, it almost looks like a girder off the Brooklyn Bridge strut tower brace to stiffen up the front of the vehicle. But what do we got going on? So you're gonna have two different ways to buy your Charger 6-pack. One will be the entry RT, which is a standard output straight six, twin turbocharged, that Hurricane power plant, or you can go with the Scat Pack. Scat Pack is that super high output. What do we got? It's a 3-liter twin turbo straight six, that Hurricane straight six, pumping out 550 horsepower, 531 pound-feet of torque. Here's a little fun stat for the next time you're on Jeopardy. That is more horsepower per liter than the mighty Demon 170. So, because we're talking about 550 horsepower in just 3 liters of displacement. If you're gonna think about maybe Scat Pack is too much for you, power-wise, and you want an RT is gonna have 420 horsepower and 468 pound-feet of torque. But like I said, Scat Pack has that high output Hurricane engine, 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. Of course, with that all-wheel drive helping, quarter mile in 12.2 seconds. We have the new updated 4th gen TorqueFlite 8-speed automatic transmission. That Hurricane twin turbo straight six uses Garrett turbochargers that are pumping out 30 PSI. At the end of the day, this is the fastest Scat Pack when you compare it to the previous generation, because top speed 177 miles an hour. And on the internals, don't be worried, because there are a lot of forged aluminum parts within that high output engine. Now the good news is that you're gonna get 88% of peak torque at 2,500 RPM, and 90% of peak torque comes in between 3,000 RPM and 6,000 RPM. So think about that. There are ways that with a turbocharged setup, especially a twin turbocharged setup, to try to negate as much as that boost lag as possible. And that's what they did with the special ECU tuning to get that torque to come to its peak lower in the rev range. But phenomenal that we have the internal engine, combustion engine back in a Charger, and we have all-wheel drive. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and hear what this 6-pack sounds like. All right, guys, we're inside this 2026 Dodge Charger Scat Pack 6-pack. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I want one of these. I love the exterior. 550 horsepower sounds good to me. Line lock, launch control, disconnect the all-wheel drive and just have rear-wheel drive, but how much is it? Starting price for an RT will have an MSRP of $49,995. The Scat Pack, which is what we're in, has a starting price MSRP of $54,995. And like I said, add an extra $2,000, that will get you the 4-door. So basically $1,000 per door for the rear doors. But why don't we see what you're getting when you go back to the Charger, to the door panels, that all new designed interior, modern with great appointments, the red contrast stitching. Love the way they did that stylish design. It's like it shows movement even though there's no movement going on. You have what's called the attitude adjustment ambient lighting, even the dual style stitching on the armrest, no gloss black. And then you'll notice the little button you hit to pop the door open, just hit that, door pops right open. You got an area in the back for a nice coney dog. And then you have a door pocket up there where you could get yourself a large Detroit style hamburger with extra mustard and ketchup. And there's even a cup holder for some Dr. Pepper. Now going from the door panel to the dash, you'll notice instead of it saying Daytona, it says Charger on the badging, your red stitching, The two-tone, look at all the anybody who was hating on the previous gen interior, this brings it to a new level. So you're gonna have your 12.3-inch infotainment system screen. We got our performance pages, you got your gauges. Like I said, you could do line lock, you could show all of the information, the G meters, the timers, all those different things very easily accessible, including the race options. And here's where you could do your shift light, your race prep, all of those goodies. I'll throw it into reverse. Backup camera clear as day. Look at that. We could count the pieces of concrete there. You could change your angles, and then we're right back where we started. You do have 3 stages of heated seats, 3 stages of ventilated seats, and 3 stages of heated steering wheel. Plus, I like the way they give you some physical touch buttons here, some touch pad. Your AC vents, 2 USB-Cs, wireless charging, a place for 6 track day Twinkies, your pistol grip shifter, that bright black start stop button with the red stitching on the shift boot, 2 cup holders, nice soft. Open this up, you got a USB-A, a 12-volt, and this is where you're gonna keep the jar of those V8 Mustangs that you're gonna blow their doors off. You can put their tears in a little jar, or maybe even their souls. And then I love the interior, the red, the Alcantara, nice bolstering, full electric assist for the passenger, full electric assist for the driver, and you even get the solid panoramic glass roof. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the new wheel in this new 6-pack. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel in this 6-pack. Love the Dodge name on that sill. You got all your seat controls, easy to get to, even the power adjustments for the hammies to support your hamstrings as you're going down the quarter mile. I'm 6 feet tall with the glass roof, plenty of room, steering wheel. You got the 2 different types of leather, perforated and smooth, flat on the bottom, flat on the top, flat black on the switch here. You could do your drive modes, real simple. Look at that, easy to change, all by the push of a button. And I'm gonna have Steven kind of swing on in to show you the different drive modes, from drag to sport to custom, whatever you want, this Charger can do it. And that is a 16-inch digital gauge cluster. Plus you got the head-up display, and on the back of the steering wheel, you do have your paddles to go up and down that new 4th gen Torque Flight 8-speed automatic, and it is a power tilting and telescoping steering wheel. Plus, all new key fob with the carbon fiber style. Look at that, remote start. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into the trunk, because you're gonna be amazed by the space, and then we'll see if we could take this for a drive. All right, guys, one of the best things about the Charger Daytona or this Charger 6-pack is, guess what? You're getting that amazing cargo space. Wanna just show you the LED lighting along the bottom here. There's that Fratzog badge there lit up. Hit the hidden button, nice electric assist. You get more cargo space than the previous generation. Seats fold down 60-40 split. And that's gonna allow you to put the things that you need and want at your regular use when it comes to that drag strip, because you're gonna maybe wanna bring some jacks, maybe you need to bring some tools with you. That will all fit in the back. Now, I know you're ready to go for a first drive. We're not ready yet though. That's gonna be coming, stay tuned. But we got more from Dodge Speed Week here in Detroit, so let's get to it. All right, guys, one of those days, great to be here in Motor City, but even better to bring you the latest and greatest from that muscle car brand, Dodge, and the evolution of the modern muscle car. Definitely want to thank the whole Dodge team for allowing us to have this special access, but now it's your turn. Let them know in the comment section, what are your thoughts on this all new 6-pack, especially with it being a Scat Pack version of the 6-pack. Does it meet your muscle car needs and wants? And do you think that it has the performance that goes with the name? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rides family. Gotta get up to Stephen Flood. He's out here in the sun, the shade, doesn't matter, he'll just sweat. So thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.